Good morning, esteemed conference members. My name is Alyssa, and I would like to welcome you all to the Australian Conference of Economists 2024. Here is the agenda for today's presentation, where we will be discussing 5 key topics related to the supply and demand in economics. The first topic will revolve around the effect of a consumption tax. When the supply and demand curve intersects at equilibrium point E1, the quantity traded is Q1, with consumers willing to pay price P1. At this point, there is consumer surplus above the price P1, representing the savings benefit for consumers. For example, if someone is willing to pay $5 for fries but only pays $2, their consumer surplus is $3. Similarly, producer surplus below P1 reflects the profit for producers. If a producer is willing to sell fries for $1 but sells them for $2, their producer surplus is $1, indicating extra profit over costs. Now, what happens when a tax is introduced? The introduction of the consumption tax causes a leftward shift of the demand curve. As a result, the equilibrium point becomes E2, with equilibrium quantity and price decreasing to Q2 and P2 respectively. P2 becomes the price received by sellers, while consumers pay the total price of P3, which includes the tax. The additional amount paid by consumers will be collected by the government as tax revenue. As the increased prices discourages consumers from engaging in purchases they would otherwise make, it leads to foregone trade that creates deadweight loss. As a result of the trade introduced, there is an increase in the price paid by consumers and decrease in price received by producers, resulting in a decrease in consumer and producer welfare. Now, let's explore how a tariff affects the economy. In a situation without trade, given the demand and supply of domestic-only trade, the domestic price would be PD. Once international trade is introduced, the price falls to PW as foreign imports become available at a lower price. The quantity supplied by domestic producers decreases to QD1 as they are now unable to compete with the cheaper imported goods. The quantity demanded increases to QW due to the price decrease, creating a gap between QW and QD1, which is classified as imports. Now, suppose the government imposes a tariff on, let's say, imported beef. To protect local farmers, the cost of imported beef rises to PT due to the added tariff, leading to a decrease in the quantity of beef supplied by foreign producers. The increased cost of beef leads to a decrease in quantity demanded to QT. The reduction in foreign beef availability opens up opportunities for domestic producers to fill the gap. Hence, domestic producers will increase their supply to QD2 to meet the overall demand. The number of imports after the introduction of tariff becomes QT minus QD2. Since foreign producers are required to pay a tax on every unit of beef they bring into the domestic market, this becomes the revenue collected by the government. The deadweight loss is created by the market inefficiency due to the tariff, as the higher prices of PT reduces both consumer demand and foreign supply. This loss comes from the areas where potential transactions between domestic consumers and foreign producers no longer occur, leading to overall market inefficiency. On the other hand, consumption tax affects all goods, both domestic and imported, by increasing their prices across the board. Both taxes create deadweight loss, but tariffs specifically distorts international trade, while consumption tax broadly affects consumer purchasing power. As the tariff shields domestic producers from foreign competition by artificially raising the price of imports, the producer's surplus for domestic producers grow because they are now able to sell at a higher tariff-inflated price, which gives them more profit per unit sold. Now, let's explore how generative AI can reduce inequality. For unskilled workers, generative AI creates new job opportunities, resulting in a rightward shift of the demand curve. As businesses adopt generative AI to streamline operations, they often require additional manpower to manage AI outputs, customer service, and operational tasks. As demand for these workers increase, their wages increase from W1 to W2. In this scenario, generative AI can also cause a leftward shift of the demand curve for skilled workers by automating tasks traditionally performed by these professionals. As AI systems become increasingly capable of performing complex functions such as content creation, companies may find it more cost-effective to rely on AI rather than skilled labor. This reduces the need for skilled workers, leading to a decrease in demand for their services. Consequently, wages for skilled workers may decline from W1 to W2. Now, how about a situation where AI increases inequality? As generative AI takes over routine tasks traditionally performed by unskilled workers with greater speed and higher accuracy, businesses may reduce their reliance on manpower. Think about the drive-thru ordering chatbots some fast food chains are utilizing. As chatbots efficiently handle customer orders, the demand for unskilled labor like cashiers decrease. This contributes to the leftward shift of the demand curve, resulting in fewer job opportunities and lower wages for these positions. On the other hand, the demand for skilled workers, such as IT specialists and customer service managers, is likely to increase. These roles are essential for developing, maintaining, and improving the chatbot technology. This results in the rightward shift on the demand curve for skilled workers, causing a rise in wages from W1 to W2. As a result, the fast food industry could become polarized, contributing to labor inequality. We'll explore the effects of generative AI on economic productivity using the aggregate demand and supply curve. In the first scenario, we assume that AI will boost productivity. Initially, we start with an equilibrium denoted by A, represented by the intersection of the AED and the SRAS curve. At this point, real GDP is at Y star at price level P1. Now, when generative AI is introduced, the technology can significantly enhance productivity by automating tasks. As such, we see a shift of the SRAS to the right. This shift indicates that at every price level, the economy can now produce more goods due to increased efficiency. As a result, the new equilibrium occurs at point B, with an increased GDP and a lower price level P2. Over the long run, as the benefits of AI are fully realized, the LRAS shifts right, reflecting lasting improvements in the economy's productivity capacity. When AI is introduced in a scenario where productivity is unchanged, there is a temporary increase in efficiency. This leads to a rightward shift of the SRAS curve, as businesses can now produce more in the short run at a lower price level. This results in the economy moving from point A to B, with GDP increasing from Y star to Y star star. However, if the productivity boost is not sustained, or if other factors such as higher input costs emerge or diminishing returns on AI, the SRAS curve eventually shifts back to its original position. This brings the economy back to point A. Lastly, using behavioral economics, we seek to understand why consumers choose unhealthy fast food options. First, the status quo theory explains that people tend to stick with familiar choices. For many, unhealthy foods like burgers and fries are comforting and remind them of their childhood favorites. This familiarity makes it difficult to switch to healthier options. When faced with a decision, people often default to what they know, choosing the status quo over unfamiliar, healthier foods. Next is the framing effect. How food is advertised can strongly influence our choices. Unhealthy options are often marketed using words like indulgent or satisfying, which trigger thoughts of immediate pleasure, making it hard to prioritize long-term health. When consumers are surrounded by tempting language and imagery, they are more likely to pick these less healthy options, even if they intended to eat better. Finally, the nudge theory illustrates how fast food restaurants attract consumers to unhealthy choices through their vibrant color scheme. Think of McDonald's iconic red and yellow, which evokes feelings of excitement and urgency. These visually appealing environments not only simplify decision-making, but also creates a welcoming atmosphere, influencing customers to choose their products over other healthier alternatives elsewhere. With that, we've come to the end of the presentation. Thank you for your kind attention.